Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Athar Mansoor from Tracks. So, a lot of people in Pakistan, I have seen, and it's my own experience, that they aspire, students, especially after their A levels, their high school, they aspire to study abroad, especially in Western countries like UK, Canada, Australia, US, and some European countries. And besides that, Australia is also a popular destination, although it's in Asia Pacific region. So this is, dream of many students at A levels level and high school level when they do intermediate, when they want to go for postgraduate studies or graduate studies. And I have myself studied abroad, but I went at grad level or post-grad level. So I went for my first master's to National University of Singapore, and then to Australia, then US, and then finally I landed in Hong Kong. So I have also gone through the process. But today I have a very special guest with me, Mr. Asad Ejaz Butt. He is a career civil servant, a junior officer to me in civil service, but a very bright young man who I happen to know as a very good and professional economist and a public policy expert. He has been working in the domain for public policy for several years before joining the prestigious Civil Central Superior Services of Pakistan. He has had a very varied exposure. He has lived and studied in Canada at undergrad and grad level. He went to York University for his bachelor's in economics and then master's in economics from Guelph. And now currently he is based in Massachusetts, University of Massachusetts, and he is doing his PhD. He was awarded the prestigious Fulbright scholarship to pursue PhD studies. So Asad, welcome to this show by Tracks.
Thank you for having me, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. So the weather must be changing in the US, right? Spring is on.
Yes, it's getting warmer.
Uh,
I'm 2 months ago, I would not be able to wear this jacket. I was wearing like a much heavier jacket than this.
yes, and Boston is quite freezing in winters, right?
J- Yes. It's
Yes.
it's it's on the East Coast, so it has like
It's right.
the same weather as Toronto in Canada. Yeah, it snows a lot here.
It's no problem. Right. Asad, thank you for taking time out for this important discussion on what should be the priorities for students who want to go to grad, undergrad, and then research degrees. I'll start first with your quickly overview of your undergrad experience and how did you prepare your application? How did you select York as your destination university, and how did you select the course?
So for my undergrad, I'd spent like a couple of years in Pakistan at the university level already. So I was transferring credits, and so one of my um, I got a 4-year degree from York, but I got like a few transfers based on some coursework that I'd done in Pakistan initially. So my first priority was to go to a school which would give me the highest number of transfers. And universities have very different policies when it comes to, transfer students. York had a very liberal policy when it came to transfers. Like if you'd done like they did like a one-to-one matching, but the maximum number of credits you could get was 90 at that time. For instance, University of Toronto, U of T, which is considered one of the best universities in Canada, at that time used to transfer only 30 credits, the maximum of 30 credits. So I got into U of T and York both, the two top
But you got
universities.
90 here. You got 90 in York, right?
It's a maximum of 90 that
Maximum
you
90,
get,
sorry, right.
maximum
Maximum
90. But
90. And
I'd not
Toronto
completed
get
90
30.
90 credits in Pakistan. I had less than 90, but I got whatever, apart from perhaps, a Pakistan studies or an Islamic studies course, which most universities in Pakistan teach as a mandatory. I don't know about now, but 15 years ago, when I was a first year undergrad student, they uh, did Islamic studies and Pakistan studies as like core mandatory first year undergrad courses that everyone, regardless of your major, had to take. So those courses were not transferred, but everything else was literally transferred by York. So that was my reason for going to York, because financial considerations are big, especially as an undergrad student, and I didn't want to sort of keep paying U of T or another school for the courses that I'd already done in Pakistan. So that was my reason for choosing York. The other reason was that it has a very good business and economics program as well. One of its schools called Schulich. I don't know if you've heard the name, is like one of the best business schools in Canada, alongside Rotman at U of T, and a couple of other places like the Richard Ivey Business School. So yeah, that was the other reason I wanted to study economics, and it was a very well reputed place. The economics department was exceptional with very good faculty from across North America. Um, as far as funding my undergrad education is concerned, I'd be very candid with you. I was I had to self-finance, but um, my family initially paid for it because undergrad scholarships are extremely hard to get. In fact, for a lot of universities, they don't exist. But in the recent past, I've been hearing stories about people coming to, the mid-sized kind of liberal arts colleges in the US, that have good amount of funding, don't invite a lot of students at the undergraduate level, are slightly hard to get in. Like, for instance, the Seven Sisters colleges, I know that they're liberal arts women colleges, like Mount Holyoke or Wellesley College in the US. Wellesley is here in Boston. These kind of places now have some scholarships at the undergrad level, but they're also very hard to get in. So I know some exceptional undergrad students who also went to UK in the past, in places like Oxford, Cambridge, had straight A's in their A levels, a very high SAT score, but did not afford foreign education at the undergrad level. So they were offered some kind of bursaries by the university or some kind of need-based scholarships to defray the costs of the program. So those stories I've heard. I did not get an undergrad scholarship myself. Like, I got like small, when I entered the program, I started working with a prof and got like an RA-ship at my undergraduate level, which is slightly very hard to get in because professors are not eager to hire undergrads as RAs. But sometimes if you're really involved and a professor thinks that, and you tell them that you need money and you're out of resources, they could perhaps, offer you something very small. So I used to do like small kind of literature reviews, and, professors would give me usernames and passwords of their, journal subscriptions, and I would just, glean a few papers and based on some keywords that they would give me. So like very basic level work. And they were just obliging me basically. They didn't need that work, but they were
Right.
just obliging me. But so you could find that kind of work, but you have to be really lucky. But as far as undergrad scholarships are concerned, they're very hard to get in. So unless you have a scholarship from back home, which I think in Pakistan, nothing exists at the graduate level. HEC doesn't fund undergraduate students. Fulbright, Chevening, these big international scholarships are not for undergrads. So that's, I mean, it's an unfortunate thing that people who cannot afford in the third world, it's very hard for them to come to the West for undergraduate studies unless you are exceptionally outstanding.
Right. So I think two or three things are very important from your discussion. One is selecting the right program, which according to your circumstances, and selecting the right institution, right? You wanted to do something in economics. York had a good school in economics and business, and you targeted it. Although you selected University of Toronto also, but then you very strategically took the decision that the transfers of credits was more in York, so you chose eventually York. Maybe U of Toronto is thought to be higher in terms of quality or ranking, but you had to take a decision as per your context. So, viewers, I think it's very important that he did not compromise as such on choosing a big compromise was never made. York is still a very big name and a very good university in North America, and he went to the program of his choice also, and he very smartly knew that he cannot put so much burden and pressure on his finances, so he chose it, and then he took the initiative of approaching the professor also. So this is again something lesson for you, that keeping in view your circumstances, you should be bold and confident enough. What could have happened maximum? The professor would have refused, so he would have definitely carried on if the professor had refused, but it actually removed some pressure from his pocket.
One
Second,
thing,
yes, you want to say something?
sure, please go ahead.
Yeah. Second is before, if you want to say something, but second question is, how did you choose Guelph, and what was your experience in Guelph as far as scholarship is concerned, and the selection of course. And again, it makes sense. You did graduation in economics, so you would have gone for economics and masters. But as far as choosing the university, and what were the financial benefits or no benefits?
One thing I'd like to add for the undergrad thing, and then I'll come quickly to Guelph. There's something that a lot of Indian students I see are doing now in North America, in the US, which I think is a good pathway to come here at the undergrad level that some Pakistani students can also adopt. Um, so in the past, if you were coming to a community college, you could come to a community college, which is one easier to get in and is like, let's say, one-fifth of the cost of attending university at the undergraduate level. So they're way, way cheaper. But in the recent past, both in US and Canada, it was very hard to get a study permit or a student visa based on an offer letter from a community college or from like a smaller college. So, so people in the past used to apply to like a postgraduate diploma kind of thing and still get a study permit in and at a community college. Then the PGD kind of thing went out of the window in Canada because you were not the embassy was not issuing study permits on a PGD admission. So you had to be in a degree to get, not in a diploma or certificate to get study permit. And then the community college also kind of went out of the window. Now it's very risky if you apply to a community college. I, it's quite improbable that you would get like a study permit. So now there's something that students again found a way around it. What they're doing now is that they apply to a university, like a mid-tier school. They get in, they come here, they arrange funds for the first semester, for the first 4 months. They come here. Community colleges are very, very easy to get in. So by the end of their first semester, they only pay for that one semester because undergrad is like 8 semesters long, 4 years. So then before the second semester, they apply to a community college, get into a community college, get their credits transferred to a community college. And during that time, they usually find like a small job on campus or outside campus, which will cover their living expenses. And then second semester, they get into a community college, which is way cheaper and it's easier for them to pay the fee and complete their degree. And and they get their I-94 or whatever that document is that basically tells what school you are part of and what your program is. They get that sort of transferred to that community college because once you're here, it becomes way, way easier. I know a lot of those students are not able to travel outside of the US. They are able to, but they are generally very careful because they want that, they don't want somebody to stop them at the airport saying, "Oh, you came to this university, but why are you at this smaller community college?" Um, but that's a much, much easier way to come at the undergrad level if somebody wants to. You get into a university, maybe perhaps if your credentials are not very good, get into an undergrad, a mid third tier kind of university, come here and then apply to a community college, which is one-fourth or one-fifth of the cost of attending a university.
Right, right. Right. Asad, coming to the last part of our discussion is your PhD, doctoral studies, right? So you secured prestigious Fulbright scholarship. It's a very competitive scholarship, and you have to go through a very rigorous process of selection, right? You first prepare your application, and then there are steps before applying. You need to take your GRE and other exams, and you have to prepare a very good statement. So please walk us through the process, and what are your suggestions for future potential aspirants who want to prepare a master's level Fulbright scholarship and also PhD? So maybe quickly, very few suggestions for masters, but generally about more about PhD.
So, so one, the Fulbright scholarship, sir, is like you have to have a story, and the story has to uh, each part of your Fulbright application has to resonate with that story. So it's very hard to lie on a Fulbright application. Um, Firstly, you have to have that life first in which you grew from strength to strength. So for a lot of people, they want to build a nice story, but they've not done anything in their lives before applying the Fulbright. So it becomes very hard for them to secure because the Fulbright folks are looking at your CV, they're looking at your transcripts, they're looking at you holistically. So one, I mean, I'm not saying that somebody who's not achieved big in life cannot get the Fulbright scholarship. A lot of times, undergrad students who have zero working experience get the Fulbright. So that's the first myth I want to bust. But at the same time, you need to show that you're somebody who's been in their lives, who's been passionate about at least something. You know, even if you're an undergrad student, you were debating on campus, or you were playing cricket, or you were doing something that one built a network for you, shows that you're hardworking, you're gritty, you have perseverance. You know, those kinds of things that they're looking at, because they want to finance. Fulbright at the end of the day is somebody giving you money to study, and somebody investing in a person who's going to become super successful in the future. So you have to really understand, you have to uh, put your feet in their shoes, and then see what they are trying to get at. What are the program objectives? And then do in Rome as the Romans would do, because once you step into their shoes, you know what a Fulbright evaluation person is looking for in a certain application. So they want somebody, they want to see passion in you, that fire in your belly, that you want to do something big in your life. And then that the way you could show it is through a trajectory. You need to have, your story needs to have a trajectory of growth, where you grew, like I said, from strength to strength. So that's your story. My advice is for people, of course, there's no one right way of writing your application. Different people write it different way. So for instance, I know somebody who had like a big rags to riches story, came from South Punjab and joined the civil service. And so wrote that rags to riches story, didn't have exceptional academic credentials. So the other myth I want to bust is that you don't need exceptional academic credentials. I know people with an under 3 GPA who got Fulbright. Um, but that person got it because of the story. So the personal statement in Fulbright is 70% of the entire application. You know, other
Okay.
parts of the application just have to resonate with it, but the decision of whether you get it or not primarily depends on your personal statement. So the personal statement could be a rags to riches story, but I also know people who showed to them that, you know, they were faced by adversity all their life, and they were faced by these challenges. They've not grown because of those challenges, but they've survived. So their graph in life is like this, but they prevented it from going like this. And
Right.
that was their story. And for some people, the story is like this. So you have to develop that graph in your mind, develop that trajectory story, and rerun that story multiple times. Start like at least 4 or 5 months early, develop a story, rerun that story multiple times, and then get to the writing part. And once you write, try to finish it like a month, 2 months before the deadline, and then start sending it to people who've been former Fulbrighters, who could just, you know, make small tweaks to your application. As far as the GRE is concerned, it's more like an eligibility criteria, because Fulbright understands one thing, that you could be somebody from rural Sindh. Um, you could be somebody from Balochistan, where you did not have exceptional, very good academic facilities as a kid. You went to like a small ghost school or something. So so they don't expect you to do very well on the GRE, because they know that we are picking people who are extremely bright, but they're underprivileged. So we can't expect them to score very high on a standardized test. We just need them to have basic math and basic English. So if you so GRE pretty much is like an eligibility criteria. These are just myths that you need to. I know somebody who got 330 on a GRE got rejected. I know somebody who got
Mm.
280 on the GRE out
And
of
got
3.
accepted. And
Got
got accepted.
accepted, not only got accepted, got into Harvard. I don't want to
Oh
name
my
the
goodness.
friend.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay. Okay.
So
So
those
this is a
stories are
big
always
myth,
there.
because people think you don't get GRE, you won't get into Fulbright. Many people
No,
think.
they're not biased against you for having a low GRE score. Of course, you need the GRE to apply, but that's pretty much about it. And Fulbright would rather get rid of the GRE if it's not a requirement of the universities. The reason they take it from you is because they have to apply on your behalf to universities.
Right.
Fulbright is different to Shivning in that way, because once you get Fulbright, you don't do anything after that. You just sleep at home, because
Right.
they apply on your behalf to universities.
And
They
they
get your
get you into
visas.
the university. Right.
Yeah, so they literally bring you here. They literally bring you here. It's like a year and a half process after you get it, but from the time you get it and to the time you come here. But They do everything for you. You don't have to worry about anything. You just write those two essays, 750 words each, do the GRE, apply for it, and then it's their headache after that.
Right. So, Asad, last question. How tough was the interview and what are the suggestions for interview if you get shortlisted and move into the interview stage?
The Fulbright interview?
Yes, yes.
It's for, at my time it was a small panel, around 3 to 4 people. They talked to me about my work experiences. You confined their interview to what I'd written in my application. So basically, experiences that I'd mentioned in my application, that this is what I'd been doing in the past. So they talked to me about that. Talked to me about the university preferences I had given to them, that why I wanted to be in so and so schools. Talk to me about my career aspirations, what I would do after the PhD. So you write about that in your application as well. So they ask you that question to see if you still have the same goals and you can speak about it. So yeah, those were the 3, 4 big
Right.
questions. It was like a very straightforward interview.
Again,
Uh,
it should be aligned with your statement and your application form, right?
Exactly. And a lot of these people are from the development sector, as you know. So
Right,
so
right.
once they know that you're from the civil service, they get interested in the issues of policy and governance.
I
तो फिर
agree.
वो
I agree.
सरकारी बातें भी शुरू हो जाती हैं. तो
Right,
in my
right, right,
case,
right.
that also
Okay.
happened.
Okay, okay. Right. Asad, thank you so much. Thank you. I think you have given such elaborate detail about the three levels, undergrad, grad, and then
Sorry, I couldn't
doctoral
talk
study.
about Guelph as much, but we could do it
No,
like
no, it's fine. It's
in
fine. It's
another
fine.
interview.
It's
Sorry.
an overview of things and how you
Okay.
chose them. And I wanted to, because this is something through which I wanted to show to the audience and the viewers that how the journey at different stages, at different levels of education, and how you chose your journey and how you successfully went through the process and what were your experiences. This is important because first-hand experiences, anecdotal evidence, and stories, they are quite fascinating for people, and people who just like you, when they speak their heart out and they tell exactly, candidly, honestly, what they had experienced and what the suggestions and recommendations could be, it can really be really valuable for people who, because it's part of life that we understand that we move from one stage of life to another stage and people follow us. So we should be inspiring people, we should be honestly guiding them, mentoring them, giving our suggestions so that they are also able to achieve their dreams. Rather, they should first dream and then they should successfully achieve their dreams, right? This is part
Right.
of how
Absolutely.
human civilization evolves, right? So,
You're
thank you
doing a
so much.
wonderful service. You were
Thank you
doing a
so much.
wonderful service.
Thank you so much for
I
taking
wish I
some
saw
time.
your channel when I was applying the Fulbright. Things would have been easier for me.
Right. So thank you so much. I'm very happy that people like you contribute and they are at very all the prayers and best wishes for you. You are
Thank
a
you so
very
much.
you are becoming a role model for those who are following you, and
Thank
keep inspiring people, keep doing the good work, stay blessed, stay happy. Thank you viewers for watching this. Stay tuned for more. Join Tracks.